Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Typically when I come to this podium, I'm announcing some enforcement action that is generally positive but makes a whole bunch of other people not too happy. But today is this is just a good day. It's a pleasure to be joined by the Deputy Attorney General, Jim Cole, Director Stacia Hilton, and U.S. Mint Deputy Director Richard Peterson, along with Jim Dunn, President of the U.S. Marshals Museum, Craig Floyd, my good friend and CEO of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, John Adler, President of the Federal Law Enforcement Association, John Ryan, President and CEO of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It's a great privilege to stand with this very distinguished group today and to join Congressman Steve Womack, Senators John Boozman and Mark Pryor, as we commemorate what is a really significant milestone in the rich and storied history of the United States Marshals Service as we mark the 225th anniversary of this truly remarkable agency, and as we celebrate the legacies of thousands of elite men and women who for 2¼ centuries have fought and who have sacrificed for justice with integrity and in service of the rule of law and in service to the American people. In honor of these brave public servants and in order to preserve, perpetuate, and promote the Marshals Service singular history, it's my privilege today to unveil 3 commemorative coins. Now, these coins were commissioned by an act of Congress, and they will be struck by the United States Mint. From America's very first federal marshals, who were appointed by President George Washington in 1789, to those who serve this critical agency today, this country has always relied on the valor, the vigilance, and the dedication of marshals, deputy marshals, and support personnel to keep the peace, to safeguard our system of justice, and to apprehend dangerous criminals who attempt to flee from accountability. Now, especially in times of distress and in times of difficulty, at moments of adversity and at moments of challenge, this service has become in many ways the backbone of federal law enforcement, standing as a pillar of justice, strength, and resolve in rapidly changing and endlessly challenging environments. Today, we remember the federal law enforcement pioneers who helped to keep a fledgling nation together, the legendary lawmen who tamed the Wild West, the icons who helped restore our country after Civil War, and particularly this year, as we celebrate both the 60th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education and the 50th anniversary of the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the heroes who put their lives on the line to integrate schools and to enforce civil rights protections for all citizens amid the turmoil and the violence of the civil rights era. It was the U.S. Marshals Service that in the 1960s escorted African American first graders to school in New Orleans, guarded freedom riders, and marched from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama to protect Dr. Martin Luther King. In the fall of 1962, it was the Marshals Service that helped to hold off a violent mob in one of the most explosive confrontations of that era, quelling riots at the University of Mississippi in Oxford. By the time the smoke and the tear gas had cleared on that terrible night, more than 160 deputy and special deputy U.S. Marshals had been injured. More than 200 people had been arrested, and 2 innocent people, a bystander as well as a journalist, lay dead. Yet the next day, thanks to their efforts, their courage, and their fidelity to the rule of law, the university's first African-American student was officially enrolled, marking really what was an inflection point in the ongoing struggle for equal opportunity and equal justice. In that moment, as in countless others, defined by sacrifice and defined by bravery over the 225-year history of this service, U.S. Marshals have helped to move our country closer to its highest ideals. Even as we speak, from protecting the federal judiciary and the federal court family to the tenacious pursuit of fugitive felons throughout the world, today's United States Marshals Service is continuing to uphold the finest traditions established by those who have gone before. Each year, the Marshal Service arrests over 100,000 fugitives in close collaboration with state, local, and federal partners, and through the efficient use of task force resources. Thanks to the efforts of criminal investigators here in the United States and in 3 foreign field offices, alongside partners from around the globe, approximately 900 individuals are extradited, deported, or removed every year. Roughly 120,000 prisoners are moved by the United States Marshals Service prisoner transportation system on an annual basis. And especially in recent years, by rushing to ground zero to aid victims of the September 11th attacks, by assessing potential security threats and providing security for high-profile criminal trials, by seizing and by managing the assets of those engaged in financial fraud, in every office and in every unit, from the Witness Protection Program to tactical operations, this agency continues to prove that it is and will always remain first for justice. And that's why at every stage of my career, as a prosecutor, as a former judge, as a U.S. attorney here in D.C., as the Deputy Attorney General, and now as the Attorney General of the United States, I've always considered it a tremendous personal honor to serve alongside the men and women of the United States Marshals Service. I have seen firsthand the impact of their contributions at every level of our justice system and in every community across this great country. And I view today's unveiling not only as a unique opportunity to celebrate one of our nation's oldest and most impressive traditions of service, but also to thank these heroic men and women who risk their lives every day to keep us safe, whose efforts make our country stronger, and who will continue to guide and to inspire the very best of federal law enforcement for years to come. So now it's my privilege to introduce the Deputy Director of the United States Mint, Richard Peterson, who will provide additional information about today's announcement.
Attorney General Holder, Director Hilton, members of the United States Marshal Service, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my privilege and honor to be with you here today to help celebrate your 225th anniversary and to participate in the unveiling of the 2015 United States Marshal Commemorative Coin Program designs. Now, as the head of the Mint, I give a lot of talks around town, testify to Congress, and I usually bring up that the United States Mint is one of the nation's oldest institutions, government institutions. We're 222 years old. The United States Marshals have us beat at 225 years old. On behalf of the men and women of the United States Mint, I bring you warm greetings, and I offer our congratulations to the United States Marshals, not only for your longevity, but your contributions that you make across the nation every single day. In case no one's told you recently, thank you very much for what you do. The designs for your 225th anniversary commemorative coin were created by the United States Mint artists, sculptors, engravers, working with Director Hilton, the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, and the Commission on Fine Arts. Under this program, the Mint will manufacture and sell 3 coins, one a $5 gold coin, a silver $1 coin, and a $0.50 copper nickel coin, and each with 2 designs, obviously obverse and reverse. Now, if you can get one of these $5 gold coins for $5, I urge you to get it. There's about a quarter ounce of gold in the coin, and today's gold price was $1,300. So there's $325 worth of gold in the coin, plus our manufacturing costs, and then plus a surcharge. And let me talk a little bit about the surcharges in the commemorative coin program. Each year, Congress authorizes 2 commemorative coin programs. This year in 2014, is the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the baseball commemorative coin. As well as commemorating important aspects of American history and culture, these coins help raise money for important causes. Part of each price of the commemorative coin is a surcharge that goes to organizations and projects that benefit the community. The recipient organizations this year are the United Negro College Fund and the Baseball Hall of Fame. There are 4 organizations who will share in the surcharges for the Marshals coin in 2015. Under the modern commemorative coin program that began in 1982, the United States Mint has raised more than $500 million in surcharges to help various worthy organizations around the country. The Mint looks forward to producing your 2015 commemorative coins and making the U.S. Marshals Commemorative Coin Program a resounding success. Thank you for inviting me here today, and I congratulate once again the United States Marshals. At this point, I'd like to introduce someone who needs no introduction, the Director of the United States Marshals, Stacy Hilton.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Deputy Director Peterson for educating us on really what it takes to strike a commemorative coin. You see how limited and how selective this process really is, making today's event extremely special to all of us. So thank you for the work of the Mint and the work you do every day. I, of course, want to thank the Attorney General for your kind words, your sincere words about the men and women of the United States Marshal Service. So many here today are U.S. Marshals from the local districts, chief deputies, our executive leadership team, their support teams, all represented here, along with one of our retirees, Kirk Bowden, who actually served to protect James Meredith when he entered the University of Mississippi. Mr. Bowden, thank you for being here today as we celebrate this. Your sincere words mean so much to all of us, and I have always experienced them firsthand as you and Deputy Attorney General Cole continue to always provide a significant amount of support and recognition to our law enforcement mission. We all here and across this nation remain steadfast in that mission today, just as those before us did for the past 2 centuries. I also know that this ceremony would not have been possible without the support from Congress. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Congressman Steve Womack and, of course, both Senators John Boozman and Mark Pryor for all that they did from the great state of Arkansas to make this day happen. To think that just several years ago, 2 Deputy United States Marshals had an idea. You see, both were coin collectors, Inspectors Scott Saunders and Oscar Blythe. They had a conversation and they realized that our rich history and the role that we played in forming this nation would provide a wide selection for design and was exactly what the U.S. Mint looks for. As we heard from Deputy Director Peterson, that when the Mint is looking to strike a coin, they look to capture American history and a culture before striking that commemorative coin. And we, the United States Marshal Service, in my opinion, represent just that. Our story represents our American history intertwined with our Constitution, which ensures liberty and justice when protected and enforced, and represents the foundation on which all of us built this democracy. These 2 deputies, along with our historian, Dave Turk, our Office of Public Affairs, Assistant Director Carl Kalk, who was responsible for making today's event happen, and the United States Marshals Museum Foundation all worked directly with Congress, the U.S. Mint, and several artists before receiving the final approval from the Secretary of Treasury for these designs. Deputy Marshal Saunders and Blythe's idea from 2007 becomes a reality today. Earlier, the Attorney General recognized 4 individuals that lead prominent organizations. Each will join me in unveiling the designs. We selected these 4 organizations to receive the surcharge from the sale of these collectible coins because of the significant role each organization plays within our community and their support to law enforcement. First, the National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund has always been instrumental in honoring thousands of fallen law enforcement officers across this nation, while taking care of their loved ones, while ensuring that those that have made the ultimate sacrifice to protect others will never be forgotten, including our fallen Deputy U.S. Marshals and Task Force officers. It is my pleasure to ask their CEO, Craig Floyd, to join me in unveiling the first design. Craig. Also joining Craig will be Special Agent John Adler, President of the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association. The Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association is prominent and represents officers across this nation in law enforcement, always promoting every aspect of policing, safety, and legislation. I thank you, John, for your work. If you'll please join us. The first work of art is the gold $5 coin. Gentlemen, could you please unveil the designs? This first coin represents 225 years of sacrifice. It represents the more than 250 marshals